ETFinalScore.com has East Texas high school sports covered. And now you can take it with you. Get the latest scores from Friday Night Football, articles and videos. Focus in on Dotney photo galleries and more. So don't miss a thing and get your ETFinalScore.com app today.
Hello and welcome to our ETFinalScore.com Junior College Football Show. I'm Joe Buie, your host, and joining me as always is Phil Hicks, who covers the area JUCOs. Well, Phil, the conference has crowned another champion, and for the third year in a row, it's the Navarro Bulldogs.
Right, Joe. I kind of thought NEO might win on their home turf since they beat them a week earlier, or 2 weeks earlier. But NEO lost to Navarro, I believe it was 62-24.
Right.
And it was a very competitive game until, I believe, the fourth quarter when Navarro, or the second half, outscored them 34-14. Turnovers, of course, were a problem.
Okay. Navarro, boy, they really turned it up the last few weeks of the season, didn't they?
They seem to do that every year now, don't they? Mm-hmm. Even though they changed coaches and they really got going at the latter part of the season, even though they lost that one game up in Miami. But the running, I guess it proves you really need a running game no matter what level you are in. Although Stuck Godfrey had a real good game in the championship game.
And almost every year they seem to have one of the top defense, too. And that's a big thing.
Exactly. Like several teams this year had awesome offenses. But Navarro has the players that can make the stops when needed.
Right. All right. So, yeah, Phil, of course, remind folks that NEO and Kilgore were the regular season co-champs, and Navarro was actually the number 3 seed.
Exactly. And, I mean, it was close. I don't know, maybe the schedule had something to do with that because Navarro had to play at Kilgore and they had to play at NEO.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a disadvantage in that. And but still, 3 teams were able to get bowl bids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Phil. The bowl bids were announced on Tuesday.
Right.
And boy, the Southwest JUCO came out real well, getting 3 teams into bowls.
That's right. They were like the SEC and the Big 12. Almost every team made it, or at least half the team, almost half the teams.
Yeah.
But the conference champion is going to the Heart of Texas Bowl, which is in Copper's Cove. I know you covered a few of those games,
mm-hmm.
Joe. So Navarro will play Georgia Military. That team's kind of familiar with Tyler and Trinity Valley. They played them a few times.
Okay.
But Navarro is 9-2, ranked number 5, and Georgia Military is ranked number 20. And that game most of these games are going to be December 1st, and it's going to be at Bulldog Stadium in Copper's Cove.
December 1st, that's on a Saturday.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Sir. And then also Kilgore and NEO both received bids. Kilgore's going to be in this new bowl. It's going to be held at Caulfield on A&M campus in College Station. It's called, it's going to be also December 1st, and it's called the Brazos Valley Bowl.
Okay.
And that's new this year. I mean,
that sounds like a fantastic addition.
Yes. Get to play at Caulfield. Great.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll have a big crowd there to. Blink College is kind of sponsoring that, so
okay.
I guess they were expected to be there this year.
Exactly.
They had a kind of a down year, but
yeah.
I know Kilgore has some good fans. The Rangerettes will be there, and they'll have and then they will play Northwest Mississippi, kind of another, Kansas, Texas, and Mississippi have the good JUCO teams.
Yes.
And Northwest Mississippi is ranked 13th, and Kilgore is ranked 11th.
Okay.
So Kilgore is 8-2, and Northwest Mississippi is 7-2, and that game is noon on December 1st. And so that should be a good contest.
All right, Phil, and what about NEO? What bowl are they going to?
Of course, they were co-champs with Kilgore, so they're kind of, geography plays into quite a bit. So they're going to the Citizens Bank Bowl, and this game is in Pittsburgh, Kansas, which is really near Miami, not too far.
Right.
And Pittsburgh State University is hosting that, but this game is December 2nd. And they will play number 15 College of DuPage, which is from Illinois. So
okay.
NEO's ranked number 9, and DuPage is ranked number 15. Of course, DuPage is 8-2, and NEO's 9-2.
Right. No. How exciting for NEO to make a bowl after being down for the last 6-7 years.
Yeah, Coach Patterson. I mean, at the preseason meeting, he really didn't know what he was going to have because they weren't, just like Kilgore, they weren't picked to do well.
Yeah.
And he recruited the state really well. I don't know if his prior connections at NEO helped or that he was at Oklahoma State helping recruit, but he found some really good players.
So are you saying at the media day he didn't reveal much, or what he did reveal, you don't think he knew kind of what he had at the time?
I think it was a combination of both, because he was talking about his team, about certain players, but he didn't know if he had the depth to compete in the league. And he was very concerned about the travel schedule they had, because he said something needs to be done about that travel schedule, because they really need a more balanced schedule. But I think because a lot more didn't participate, that kind of caused some problems.
Okay. And, well, Phil, the bowl teams out of the conference won a combined 26-6 this year. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the league was very top-heavy this year. And Tyler was kind of in the middle with that great offense, and they could have, because they've lost some really tough games. But mainly it was really top-heavy, sort of like the SEC this year.
Yeah.
They're very top-heavy.
Yeah.
And some of the other teams down below are not doing well, like Arkansas and some of those. But like Cisco and Blinn had an unusual season.
Exactly.
Normally it would be more closer together, but Blinn was kind of, and Trinity Valley, of course, had a bizarre season for them. They expected to play for the national championship.
Right. Well, finally, Phil, we've got some individual accolades to mention, and it sounds like TJC did quite well in that department.
Yeah, they kind of cleaned up on the all-conference team, and we're going to release this in the paper this week. But Tyreek Rollison was the MVP, the quarterback for Tyler. And he threw for 2,700 yards and 22 touchdowns. These are regular season stats, and only 7 interceptions. And that 7 interceptions was 4 of them in one game. So he had just a fantastic season. And he kind of led that offense. And I expect him to go somewhere and I know he's originally signed with Auburn and went to Sam Houston. So he'll pick somewhere and do a really good job.
Yeah, if we could continue along that line there, you got to be happy for Rollison, considering he ran into a little bit of trouble at Auburn. He was getting ready possibly to be the starter at Sam Houston, and he got hurt, I believe, the scrimmage before the regular season. So things didn't work out at Sam Houston. So he sits out a while, comes back rusty for TJC as a freshman, alternates, and then comes back as the man this year. And you got to be happy that he took full advantage of it.
Definitely, he's a nice young man, and he admitted his mistakes in the past. He broke his wrist in the Sam Houston. So, and then that was a great team, Sam Houston. He was going to. They played in the championship last year, but he said he got really depressed at that point when that happened, and he said he didn't know if he wanted to play football, but he said he's so happy that Coach Palmer gave him another chance.
Yeah.
So he feels he's blessed now, and he'll go on to somewhere else now.
Yeah. And Phil, did you want to mention some other first-teamers for the Apaches?
Yeah, first I was going to talk about the conference MVP was the quarterback at NEO, Clayton Mitchum, who did a good job of guiding. I mean, he could run or pass. And then defensive MVP was Charles Woods at Kilgore, who was all over the field. He was a turnover machine.
Really?
I mean, he was just like Brian Urlacher. You know, he's just a hard hitter, and he has a knack for the ball being there. Sort of like Sean Lee at the Cowboys. You know, when he was playing, it seemed like the interception would be there or the fumble. It just naturally found him.
Charles Woods, a linebacker?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So he's done a great job. And then some of the other Tyler players, I'm going to read off the list here, but Jeremy Chappelle, one of my favorite athletes at Tyler, he had 51 catches for 691 yards and 8 touchdowns. And, he was from Jacksonville and Brook Hill. And it was tragic this year that his uncle was killed. Kind of raised him, and it kind of hurt him, which obviously would. But a lot of people are looking after Houston and West Virginia. So Jeremy,
he was a sophomore, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
He his first year was at SFA, and then he transferred to Tyler. And although he had a great year at SFA, so he may go to a higher level, Division I now. And some of the other guys, T.C. Jones, offensive lineman. Tyler had a great offensive line this year, and
he was a 2-year starter. T.C. Jones.
Yes, unusual for freshman and sophomore to start. And then also on defense, Cord Fletcher from Henderson. He was another one of those guys. Sort of like Woods is everywhere. I mean, quite an impact player. And then a guy from Bullard, Marquise Franklin, he made first team defensive back, another hard hitter. And we always forget about these guys, but a deep snapper, Chris McKnight, he made the first team.
I know TJC's had problems there from time to time, so it's really good to see them with a first teamer at deep snapper.
I think if I was a Division I coach, because that can be a problem sometimes, like early in the year, I know Texas had some problems against West Virginia with deep snappers are so important, as you know. And I would just give a scholarship to that guy, because if he does on punts, field goals, and if you think he's going to make, you don't have to worry about it. So.
That's right.
And then it was a great all-conference team, and of course Rawson made a first-team quarterback as well. And at running back, unfortunately Ryan Young did not make it, but Traylon Shedd, who a lot of East Texans have seen, and he's going to go to SMU, so we'll catch up with him. Yeah, he transferred from Texas, from Cayuga, after Cayuga High School, and then Gerald House from NEO, who Tyler kind of controlled this year, but everybody else he ran wild against.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Phil, anything else we need to cover before the bowl games kick off December 1?
Yeah. We plan to have Apache basketball shows during the year, and maybe some UT Tyler basketball, but also there are several football players will be graduating in December, like Chappelle.
Right.
And the Division I coaches love that when they transfer in.
Yes.
Graduate in December so they can move on to spring training or spring drills.
Right.
So we'll cover that eventually.
We'll look out for that and see which ones are able to get that done and move on.
And fans out there, if they got a chance to go see some of the basketball at Tyler or Trinity Valley or Kilgore, some of these guys will be at Division I, and who knows, they could be, like this weekend's the Jimmy Butler Classic at TJC Friday and Saturday. Well, he's at the Chicago Bulls. I know you covered him, and then he went on to Marquette. So it's kind of fun. It's sort of like the minor league baseball. You get to see these guys grow up and go on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. All right, Phil. Appreciate you joining us all year to talk about the football season, and be sure and joining us again when we'll talk about TJC basketball